In the dim underbelly of the interstellar market on the fringe world of Epsilon 9, where shadows danced like living entities under the flickering neon lights of 1,000 alien stalls, Kai Harlan felt the weight of the universe pressing down on him. He was just a young Earth drifter back then, 25 years old, with calloused hands from hauling cargo across the galaxy and a heart still raw from losing his family in a pirate raid years earlier. Kai had no business being a hero. He was there to fence some scavenged tech, nothing more. But fate, that cruel and whimsical force, had other plans. The market was a cacophony of alien tongues, the air thick with the scent of exotic spices, rusting metal, and something far more sinister, despair. Vendors hawked glowing crystals that promised eternal youth, biomechanical implants for enhanced senses, and worse, living beings chained like commodities. Kai had seen it before. The slave traders with their hooded cloaks and plasma whips, parading captives from distant worlds. He always looked away, telling himself it wasn't his fight, until he saw her. She was huddled in a cage at the back of a grimy stall, her white hair cascading like a waterfall of moonlight over her pale, ethereal skin. Her ears, delicate and pointed like those of ancient earth elves from forgotten myths, twitched faintly with every crack of the trader's whip. She wore scraps of what might have once been elegant fabric, clinging to her curvaceous form in a way that spoke of lost royalty rather than deliberate allure. Her eyes, a shimmering violet that seemed to hold the stars themselves, met his across the crowded aisle. In that instant, something stirred in Kai, a fierce protectiveness he couldn't explain. She wasn't just any alien. She was from Zerathia, a distant empire whispered about in spacer tales, known for its graceful warriors and advanced crystal tech, and she was terrified. The trader, a hulking brute with scales like rusted armor and tentacles for arms, barked at a potential buyer, haggling over her price. Prime Zerathian stock, he growled, his voice a guttural rumble through a translator implant. Fertile, trainable, make her your queen or your plaything, your choice. The crowd laughed, but Kai's blood boiled. He clenched his fists, his mind racing. He had a concealed stun pistol from his smuggling days, nothing fancy, but enough to cause a distraction. Before he could talk himself out of it, he moved, with a swift motion. Kai overturned a nearby stall of volatile energy orbs, sending them rolling and exploding in bursts of harmless but blinding light. Chaos erupted, screams, stampeding feet, aliens scrambling for cover. In the pandemonium, he dashed to the cage, blasting the lock with his pistol. The girl, Lyra, he would later learn her name, flinched but didn't scream. She looked at him with wide eyes as he yanked the door open. "Come on," he whispered urgently, extending a hand. "I'm getting you out of here." She hesitated for only a heartbeat, then grasped his hand. Her skin was cool and soft, like silk woven from starlight, sending an unexpected shiver through him. They ran, weaving through the labyrinth of stalls, the traders' roars echoing behind them. Blaster fire zipped past, singeing the air, but Kai's instincts kicked in. He knew these markets like the back of his scarred hand, hidden alleys, service ducts. He pulled her into a narrow vent, their bodies pressed close in the confined space as alarms wailed overhead. Who are you?" she whispered, her voice melodic, accented with the lilting tones of her people. Her breath was warm against his neck, and in that moment, amid the danger, Kai felt a spark of something more than adrenaline, just a guy from Earth. He replied, trying to sound casual as he checked his scanner for pursuers. "Name's Kai, and you?" "Lyra," she said softly, her violet eyes searching his face. "From Zerathia, they took me from my home, my family." He nodded, his jaw set. "Well, Lyra, you're not their property anymore. Stick with me, we'll get you safe." They emerged into a docking bay, where Kai's battered freighter, the Stardust Nomad, waited like an old friend. He bundled her aboard, sealing the hatches just as the trader's reinforcements arrived. The ship lurched into the void, engines roaring as they punched through the atmosphere. Kai set course for a neutral outpost, his heart pounding not just from the escape, but from the way Lyra watched him, gratitude mingling with curiosity in her gaze. As the stars streaked by in hyperspace, Kai showed her around the ship, a cramped but cozy vessel filled with Earth memorabilia, faded posters of ancient rock bands, a coffee maker that sputtered like a dying engine, and a viewport overlooking the infinite black. Lyra moved with a grace that belied her ordeal, her gauzy remnants of clothing shifting enticingly as she explored. She touched everything with wonder, her pointed ears perking up at the hum of the engines. "Why did you save me?" she asked, settling into the co-pilot's seat, her legs curled beneath her. The fabric of her outfit, torn but still elegant, hugged her curves in a way that made Kai glance away. Cheeks warming, he shrugged, focusing on the controls. Because it was wrong, back on Earth we have stories about knights rescuing damsels. Guess I fancied myself one for a change. He grinned, trying to lighten the mood, but his eyes betrayed a deeper resolve. Humanity, for all its flaws, had a stubborn streak of compassion that set it apart in the cold galaxy. Lyra tilted her head, her white hair shimmering under the cabin lights. Earth, I've heard tales. Your people are warriors, survivors, but kind, that's new. Over the next few days, as they evaded patrols, Kai began to teach her about humanity. He shared stories of Earth's history, the triumphs over adversity, the unbreakable will that had propelled them to the stars. He showed her holovids of sunsets over oceans, the roar of crowds at festivals, the quiet strength in acts of everyday kindness. Lyra absorbed it all, her violet eyes lighting up. In return, she spoke of Zerathia, a world of floating crystal cities, where empathy was a rare gift amid rigid hierarchies. Her family had been nobles, betrayed by rivals who sold her to slavers. One evening, as they shared a meal of replicated earth stew, spicy and hearty, unlike the bland nutrient paste she knew, Lyra reached across the table, her fingers brushing his. You've given me more than freedom, Kai, you've shown me hope. He felt a pull then, magnetic and undeniable. Her presence filled the ship with a warmth he hadn't known in years. As they talked late into the night cycles, laughter echoing in the confines, Kai realized this rescue had changed him too. Lyra's allure wasn't just physical, though her lithe form and those enchanting ear-stirred thoughts he tried to push aside, it was her spirit. Resilient yet vulnerable, but danger lurked. Scanner alerts blared one night, slaver ships closing in. Kai maneuvered the Nomad through an asteroid field, rocks tumbling like dice in fate's game. Lyra strapped in beside him, her hand on his arm for support. We fight together, she said firmly, echoing the human tenacity he described. He nodded, heart racing. Blasters fired, shields flared, Kai dodged and weaved, his piloting skills honed from years on the run. A lucky shot grazed their hull, sparks flying, but he countered with a torpedo volley that crippled the lead pursuer. The others scattered, defeated by one man's defiance. As the adrenaline faded, Lyra unbuckled and moved to him, her body close. You are extraordinary, she murmured, her lips inches from his. The air crackled with unspoken desire, the vastness of space outside mirroring the depths of their budding connection. In that moment, Kai knew this was no fleeting adventure. He had saved her, but perhaps she would save him in ways he couldn't yet fathom. Together, they charted a course toward safety, the stars bearing witness to the birth of something profound. Their journey deepened as weeks turned to months. Kai found a hidden colony on a lush moon, a haven for refugees where they could lay low. There, amid bioluminescent forests and whispering winds, he continued to impart lessons of humanity. He taught Lyra to laugh at Earth's absurd comedies, to savor the burn of coffee, to understand the fire of perseverance. We humans, he said one twilight, as they sat by a glowing stream, we don't give up, not on ourselves, not on others. Lyra leaned against him, her head on his shoulder, her scent like fresh rain on alien petals. And love, what of that? He turned to her, their faces close. Love is our greatest strength. It makes us foolish, brave, unbreakable. Their first kiss happened there, under a canopy of stars, soft and exploratory, her lips tasting of mystery and promise. It ignited a passion that blurred the lines between worlds. Kai's hands traced her curves, reverent as she responded with a fervor born of newfound freedom. Their nights became a tapestry of intimacy, bodies entwining in the gentle glow of the moon's light, discovering pleasures that transcended species. Yet, shadows loomed. Whispers reached them of unrest in Zerathia, civil strife, a throne in contention. Lyra's eyes grew distant at times, haunted by duty. I must return one day, she confessed, wrapped in his arms. To reclaim what was stolen. Kai held her tighter. Then we'll face it together. Little did he know, the seeds of her transformation were already sown, watered by the unyielding spirit of humanity he had instilled in her. 10 years would pass, empires would shift, and the galaxy would tremble at the return of a queen forged in the fire of Earth's indomitable heart. But for now, in the quiet sanctuary of their hidden world, love bloomed like a rare cosmic flower, fragile yet destined to endure the storms ahead. As the bioluminescent glow of the moon's forests faded into the soft haze of dawn, Kai and Lyra found themselves drawn deeper into the rhythm of their secluded life. The air hummed with the subtle vibrations of alien insects, a symphony that masked the distant echoes of the galaxy's unrest. Kai woke to the feel of her beside him, her white hair splayed across his chest like threads of silver silk, her pointed ears twitching slightly in her sleep. He traced a finger along the curve of her shoulder, marveling at how her pale skin seemed to absorb the light, giving her an otherworldly luminescence that made his pulse quicken. In these quiet moments, the dangers they'd fled felt like distant stars, faint but ever-present, threatening to flare up at any time. Lyra stirred, her violet eyes fluttering open, locking onto his with an intensity that sent a warm thrill through him. "Another day in paradise," she murmured, her voice a melodic whisper that carried the faint accent of Zerathia's crystal winds. She shifted closer, her body pressing against his in a way that was both innocent and inviting, the remnants of her tattered gown slipping just enough to reveal the elegant swell of her hips. Kai's breath caught. Every touch from her ignited a fire he hadn't known he craved, a blend of protectiveness and desire that made the universe shrink to just the two of them. But paradise, as Kai knew from his wandering days, was fragile. That morning, as they ventured out to gather supplies from the colony's hidden caches, fruits that pulsed with inner light and water from streams that sang softly, a low rumble echoed through the canopy. At first, he dismissed it as thunder from the moon's volatile storms, but Lyra froze, her ears perking up sharply. "That's no natural sound," she said, her hand tightening on his arm. "Scanners, they're searching." Kai's instincts kicked in, the same ones that had saved them in the market. He pulled her behind a cluster of glowing ferns, his stun pistol drawn from its holster. Through the leaves, he spotted it, a sleek probe drone, its hull etched with the insignia of the Slave Traders Guild, hovering silently as it swept the area with red sensor beams. His heart raced, not just from fear, but from the surge of adrenaline that always came with protecting her. Lyra's body was tense against his, her curves molding to him in the confined space, her breath quick and warm on his neck. The proximity stirred something primal, a mix of danger and intimacy that made his skin tingle. "Stay quiet," he whispered, his lips brushing her ear. She nodded, but her hand slid to his waist, fingers digging in slightly, as if drawing strength from his resolve. The drone whirred closer, its beam slicing through the foliage inches from their hiding spot. Kai could feel the heat of it, the mechanical hum vibrating through the ground. Time stretched, suspense coiling like a spring. If it detected them, they'd be swarmed, fighters descending from orbit, no mercy for escaped property. In that taut silence, Lyra turned her face to his, her violet eyes wide with a blend of fear and something deeper, more urgent. "Kai," she breathed, her voice barely audible. "If this is the end..." "It's not." He cut her off softly, but his free hand cupped her cheek, thumb tracing the soft line of her jaw. The danger amplified every sensation, the way her body leaned into him, the subtle rise and fall of her chest against his. He kissed her then, fierce and unyielding, pouring all his defiance into it. Her lips parted eagerly, tasting of the sweet fruits they'd shared earlier, her tongue dancing with his in a rhythm that mirrored the pulse of their hearts. The kiss deepened, her hands roaming up his back, nails grazing lightly, sending shivers down his spine. Even as the drone's beam passed over them, missing by a hair's breadth, the world narrowed to the heat between them, a erotic escape from the peril. The probe finally veered away, vanishing into the mist, but the tension lingered, transforming into a charged energy. They emerged slowly, breaths ragged, and Kai scanned the horizon. "They're getting bolder, we can't stay here forever." Lyra nodded, her cheeks flushed, eyes still dark with desire. "But we have now," she said, pulling him toward a secluded glade they discovered days before, a natural hollow ringed by vines that shimmered like living jewels. There, away from prying eyes, she turned to him fully, her gauzy attire slipping from one shoulder, revealing the graceful arch of her collarbone and the inviting swell beneath. "Teach me more about your human ways," she whispered, her voice husky, laced with the curiosity that had drawn them together. Kai's resolve wavered under her gaze. She was a vision, her white hair catching the light, her pointed ears framing a face that blended vulnerability with an alien allure he found irresistible. He stepped closer, hands encircling her waist, feeling the warmth of her skin through the thin fabric. "Human ways involve feeling everything deeply," he murmured, his lips trailing down her neck, eliciting a soft gasp from her. She arched into him, her body responsive, curves pressing against his firmness in a way that made thought scatter. They sank to the soft moss, the glade's bioluminescence casting an ethereal glow over them. Lyra's fingers fumbled with his shirt, peeling it away to explore the hard planes of his chest, tracing scars from old battles with a tenderness that made him ache. "You're so strong," she breathed, her touch electric, wandering lower with growing boldness. Kai reciprocated, his hands gliding over her, savoring the silkiness of her skin, the way her form yielded and yet commanded attention. Their movements grew more urgent, a dance of exploration where every caress built suspense. What would come next? How far would they go before the galaxy intruded again? As clothes fell away, the air filled with their mingled breaths, soft moans echoing in the hollow. Lyra's body was a marvel, lithe and curvaceous, her pale skin flushing with a subtle iridescence under his touch. He kissed along her curves, lingering on the sensitive spots that made her whimper, her pointed ears quivering with pleasure. She guided him, her violet eyes locked on his, whispering encouragements in her native tongue that needed no translation. The erotic tension peaked as they joined, bodies moving in harmony, the suspense of their hidden life adding an edge that heightened every sensation. It was more than physical. It was an affirmation of life amid threats, her alien grace complementing his human passion in ways that felt destined. Hours slipped by in that intimate haze, but as the sun climbed higher, reality crept back. Lyra lay in his arms, her head on his chest, fingers idly tracing patterns on his skin. "The traitors won't stop," she said softly, her voice tinged with regret. "And Zerathia, my people need me. The throne is unstable. Whispers of rebellion reach even here." Kai propped himself up, looking down at her with a mix of love and determination. "Then let's prepare. I'll help you get back, fight if I have to." But even as he spoke, a new alert chimed from his wrist communicator, an encrypted message from old contacts, warning of guild ships massing nearby. Suspense built anew. Their sanctuary was crumbling. That night, as they fortified their shelter with makeshift barriers, Lyra's presence was a constant distraction. She moved with purposeful grace, her outfit repaired but still form-fitting, hugging her body in ways that drew his eyes despite the urgency. During a brief respite, she pulled him aside, her hands sliding under his shirt, reigniting the spark. "One more time," she urged, her lips on his, the kiss turning heated as hands explored familiar yet thrilling territory. The erotic pull was undeniable, a suspenseful interlude where passion warred with preparation, her moans muffled against him as they stole moments of ecstasy. Yet, the galaxy waited, its dangers closing in, as they lay entwined afterward. Kai felt the weight of what lay ahead, the journey to Zerathia, the battles to come. Lyra's transformation was beginning. The lessons of humanity's compassion and willpower simmered within her, ready to ignite. But for now, in the suspenseful quiet before the storm, their connection deepened, a erotic bond forging them into something unbreakable. The following days blurred into a haze of planning and stolen intimacies. Kai rigged traps around the colony, his mind sharp, but Lyra's allure pulled at him constantly. One afternoon, while calibrating a sensor array, she approached from behind, her arms wrapping around his waist, body pressing close. "You work too hard," she teased, her breath hot on his ear, fingers dipping lower to trace the line of his belt. He turned, capturing her mouth in a kiss that escalated quickly, hands roaming over her curves, lifting her against a tree trunk. The encounter was fervent, suspense building with every rustle of leaves that might signal intruders, her legs wrapping around him as they lost themselves in rhythm. Breathless afterward, they laughed softly, the humor in their risky passion lightening the mood, but the erotic tension never fully dissipated. It fueled their resolve. Lyra began sharing more about Zerathia's politics, the Crystal Throne, the rival clans vying for power. "With what you've taught me," she said, eyes gleaming, "I can unite them, show them humanity's way, mercy with strength." Kai nodded, pride swelling in his chest. He was no king, just a drifter, but in her eyes, he was a hero. As night fell, they shared a meal under the stars, her hand in his, the air thick with unspoken promises. Yet, scanners blipped again, ships on approach. Suspense mounted. Escape was imminent. In the dim light of their shelter, Lyra drew him to her once more, her body a canvas of desire. "Before we run," she whispered, shedding her clothes with deliberate slowness, revealing the full elegance of her form, curves that begged to be touched, skin glowing faintly. Kai obliged, his touches worshipful, exploring every inch as she responded with gasps and arches. The erotic crescendo built slowly, suspense in the deliberate pace, until they climaxed in unison, bodies shuddering in shared release. Exhausted but invigorated, they prepared for departure. The nomad awaited, engines humming, as they boarded, hand in hand. Kai glanced back at their haven, knowing the real adventure and dangers lay ahead. Lyra's queenly destiny called, but their bond, forged in suspense and passion, would light the way, as the nomad's engines thrummed to life, lifting them from the moon's verdant embrace into the cold vacuum of space. Kai felt a surge of anticipation mingled with the lingering warmth of Lyra's hand in his. The ship's viewport framed the receding glow of their sanctuary, a fleeting reminder of the intimacy they'd shared amid the bioluminescent whispers. But now, the stars beckoned with unforgiving sharpness, and the path to Zerathia stretched before them like a gauntlet of shadows. Lyra stood beside him in the cockpit, her white hair catching the console lights in a halo of silver, her pointed ears alert to every hum and beep. She wore a makeshift ensemble pieced from his spare clothes and her salvaged scraps, form-fitting pants that accentuated her lithe legs and a top that draped elegantly over her curves, revealing just enough pale skin to stir memories of their recent passions. "Homeward," she said softly, her violet eyes reflecting the hyperspace swirl outside, a mix of resolve and unspoken fear. Kai punched in the coordinates, his fingers steady despite the knot in his gut. Zerathia lay in a nebula-shrouded sector, guarded by asteroid belts and patrolled by rival clans' vessels. The Slave Traders Guild had tendrils everywhere. Evading them would demand every trick he'd learned in his drifter days. As the ship jumped into warp, the familiar lurch pulled at them, and Lyra swayed into him, her body pressing close in a way that reignited the spark from their farewell to the moon. He wrapped an arm around her waist, feeling the subtle curve of her hip, and for a moment, the dangers ahead faded. "We'll make it," he murmured against her ear, his voice a low rumble that sent a shiver through her. But the galaxy had no patience for lovers' reprieves. Barely an hour into the jump, alarms blared, a proximity warning slicing through the comm like a blade. Kai bolted to the scanners, Lyra right behind him, her graceful form tense with readiness. 3 ships closing fast, he growled, identifying the signatures. Guild interceptors, sleek and armed to the teeth with plasma cannons and boarding clamps, they must have traced the Nomad's trail from the moon, relentless in their pursuit of escaped merchandise. Lyra's face paled, but her eyes hardened, echoing the human tenacity he'd instilled in her. "They won't take me again," she declared, her voice steady, fingers already dancing over the auxiliary controls to prime the shields. The chase erupted in a blaze of drama, the Nomad weaving through the nebula's gaseous veils like a hunted animal. Bolts of energy streaked past, illuminating the cockpit in fiery bursts, each near miss ratcheting up the thrill. Kai's hands flew over the helm, executing hairpin turns that pushed the ship to its limits, hull groaning in protest. "Hold on," he shouted as he banked sharply, dodging a torpedo that exploded in a shower of ionized particles. Lyra braced against him, her body an anchor of warmth amid the chaos, and in that instant, curiosity flickered. How had she changed so quickly, from frightened captive to this fierce partner? Surprising even himself, he felt a rush not just of fear, but of exhilaration. Humanity's love for the adrenaline of survival coursed through him, and he saw it mirrored in her. One interceptor pulled ahead, its clamps extending like predatory limbs. "They're trying to board," Lyra warned, her pointed ears twitching at the comm's static. Kai grinned fiercely, a spark of defiance igniting. "Not today." He flipped the Nomad into a spin, firing countermeasures, decoy flares that bloomed like false stars, confusing the enemy's lock. The lead ship veered off, but another surged in, its cannons pounding their shields until sparks flew from the consoles. The air filled with the acrid scent of overheating circuits, tension building to a fever pitch. Lyra activated the emergency boosters, her quick thinking buying them seconds, but the third ship flanked them, grazing the hull with a shot that sent tremors through the deck. In the heart of the melee, a surprising twist unfolded. Lyra's eyes widened as she tuned into a faint signal buried in the static, a Zerathian distress beacon, faint but familiar. "It's from my people," she breathed, curiosity overriding the immediate peril. "A scout vessel nearby, they might help." Kai nodded, altering course toward the source, the interceptors hot on their tail. The nebula thickened, tendrils of gas coiling like living entities, obscuring sensors and adding a layer of thrilling uncertainty. Would the scouts be allies or more foes? The question hung in the air, dramatic suspense coiling tighter with every evasive maneuver. They burst into a clearing amid the clouds, and there it was. A Zerathian cruiser, its hull a masterpiece of crystalline architecture, shimmering like a jewel in the void. But it was under attack, 2 guild raiders harrying it with relentless fire, hull breaches venting atmosphere in silent screams. Kai's jaw set. This was no coincidence. "Diving in," he said, voice laced with determination. Lyra's hand found his, squeezing, a silent affirmation of their bond. The Nomad streaked forward, weapons hot, joining the fray in a bold, surprising alliance. The battle climaxed in a whirlwind of light and motion. Kai targeted the raiders' engines, his shots precise from years of smuggling skirmishes, while Lyra coordinated with the cruiser via encrypted channels, her native tongue flowing like music. One raider exploded in a spectacular bloom, debris scattering like confetti across the stars. The other turned tail, but not before a final volley clipped the Nomad's wing, sending them spiraling. Alarms wailed, systems failing, the ship bucking wildly. Ejecting core, Kai yelled, overriding safeties in a desperate bid to stabilize. The dramatic ejection lit the nebula like a supernova, the shockwave repelling the fleeing enemy. As the Nomad stabilized, adrift but intact, the Zerathian cruiser hailed them. Lyra's face lit up with recognition as the viewscreen flickered to life, revealing a stern-faced commander with similar pointed ears and pale features. "Princess Lyra?" The voice echoed, laced with shock. Kai's head snapped toward her, curiosity exploding into surprise. "Princess?" She hadn't mentioned that. Lyra met his gaze, violet eyes wide with a mix of apology and resolve. I didn't want it to change how you saw me," she confessed softly. Amid the thrilling aftermath, the revelation hung heavy, dramatic and unforeseen. She wasn't just a noble. She was heir to Zerathia's throne, stolen away in a political coup that had masked itself as a slaver raid. The cruiser tractored them aboard, repair teams swarming like ants over the Nomad. In the vast hangar, Kai and Lyra disembarked, her hands still in his, facing a delegation of Zerathians who bowed deeply. The commander approached, his uniform adorned with glowing crystals. "Your Highness, we've searched for you for months. The Empire teeters, your uncle's regency has bred chaos, rebels rise, and alien alliances fracture." Lyra straightened, her curvaceous form commanding respect in her makeshift attire, the elegant drape accentuating her regal bearing. Kai stood beside her, a human outsider in this alien court, yet his presence drew curious glances, whispers of the Earthling who had saved their princess rippling through the ranks. But the surprises weren't over. As they were escorted to quarters, a lavish suite with views of the nebula swirling outside, Lyra pulled Kai aside, her body close, the familiar warmth stirring amid the drama. "My title? It means nothing without what you've given me," she whispered, lips brushing his in a quick, thrilling kiss. Yet, scanners in the suite blared a new alert. Guild reinforcements inbound, a full fleet drawn by the battle's echoes. The commander burst in, face grim. "They're coming for you, Highness, and they've allied with your uncle's traitors." The climax surged anew, thrilling and relentless. Kai grabbed a nearby plasma rifle, humanity's unyielding spirit fueling him. "Then we fight," he declared, eyes locked on Lyra's. She nodded, grabbing a crystalline blade that hummed to life in her hand. Together, they rushed to the bridge, the ship shuddering under incoming fire. Bolts hammered the shields, the cruiser returning volleys in a symphony of destruction. Kai manned a turret, his shots carving through enemy fighters, each explosion a testament to human ingenuity amid alien tech. Lyra directed tactics, her voice commanding, drawing on the lessons of compassion and willpower he'd taught her. "Target their command ship, show mercy to surrenders," she ordered, surprising her crew with the blend of strategy and humanity. A guild battleship loomed, its maw opening for a devastating beam. In a heart-pounding moment, Kai overclocked the cruiser's engines, ramming through debris to flank it. "Now," he shouted. Lyra fired the main cannon, a beam of pure crystal energy piercing the enemy hull. The battleship fractured, blooming into a fireball that lit the nebula in apocalyptic glory. As the remnants fled, cheers erupted on the bridge. Lyra turned to Kai, pulling him into an embrace, her curves pressing against him in triumphant relief. But curiosity lingered. What other secrets did she hold? And with the throne within reach, how would their love survive the Empire's pull? The thrilling victory was but a prelude, surprises unfolding like layers of a cosmic enigma. Yet, even in triumph, drama shadowed them. An encrypted message arrived from Zerathia Prime. "Return at once, Princess. The Regent prepares a trap." Lyra's eyes darkened, but with Kai by her side, she faced it unflinching. The cruiser set course for home, the journey fraught with whispers of betrayal. En route, they stole moments in their suite, bodies entwining in passionate release, her moans a counterpoint to the ship's hum. Kai explored her form with reverent hands, tracing the elegant lines of her pointed ears, the swell of her breasts, the dip of her waist, each touch building curiosity about their future. A sudden ambush shattered the calm, cloaked traitors boarding via hidden shuttles. Alarms screamed as corridors filled with laser fire. Kai and Lyra fought back to back, his pistol barking alongside her blade's hum. He took a graze to the arm, blood welling, but pushed on, protecting her with fierce determination. They reached the bridge, where the commander lay wounded, revealing a shocking truth. Your uncle, he's not just a regent. He's forged a pact with the guild to sell Zerathia for power. The revelation hit like a thunderclap, surprising and curious. Lyra's own blood a traitor? Rage fueled her, and in a dramatic stand, she broadcast empire-wide. People of Zerathia, I return with the strength of allies beyond our stars. Rise against the betrayers. Responses flooded in, rebel ships emerging from hiding, turning the tide. The final push to Zerathia became a fleet, thrilling alliances forming. Kai piloted a fighter in the vanguard, dogfighting guild remnants in heart-stopping loops. Lyra commanded from the cruiser, her voice a beacon. As they breached the planet's defenses, the crystal cities gleamed below, a battlefield of light and shadow. In the throne room assault, climax peaked. Kai and Lyra stormed in, facing the regent, a sneering figure with twisted features. You bring a human pet? He mocked, unleashing guards. The fight was brutal, blades clashing, energy blasts scorching marble. Kai disarmed a foe with a surprising grapple, human brawn overwhelming alien tech. Lyra dueled her uncle, her movements a dance of grace and fury, ending with his surrender. As he knelt, a final surprise. The guild's invasion fleet approaches Earth, your pet's home, as leverage. Horror gripped Kai, but Lyra's eyes blazed. Then we saved them too. The throne was hers, but the war had just begun. Dramatic horizons unfolding, years blurred in the aftermath's glow, 10, to be precise. Lyra ascended as queen, her rule infused with human ideals, transforming Zerathia into a beacon of unity. Kai stood by her, consort and hero, their love a legend. When the guild's shadows fell on Earth, she returned the favor, her fleet descending like avenging angels, repelling the invaders in a thrilling display of cosmic gratitude. Their bond endured, passionate nights in crystal palaces, her body of eternal allure, his spirit her anchor. Humanity's legacy, through one man's act, echoed across the stars, fuck yeah. As the echoes of the regent's defeat faded in the grand throne room of Zerathia's crystal palace, with shards of shattered energy barriers, glinting like fallen stars on the polished floors, Kai stood there catching his breath, plasma rifle still smoking in his grip. Lyra, now undisputed queen by right of blood and blade, straightened her form, her white hair disheveled but radiant, her pointed ears flushed from the exertion of battle. Her curvaceous silhouette, accentuated by the battle-torn ensemble that clung to her like a second skin, commanded the room's attention as guards hauled the traitorous uncle away in humming restraints. Horror still lingered in Kai's chest from the revelation, the guild's fleet barreling toward Earth, his homeworld, as a desperate ploy to force concessions. But Lyra's blazing violet eyes met his, fierce and unyielding. We save them, she repeated, her voice echoing with newfound authority, turning the simple vow into a royal decree that sent ripples through the assembled courtiers. The drama escalated almost immediately, as if the universe conspired to test her reign from the first breath. Messengers burst into the chamber, their crystalline armor clinking urgently, bearing holopads that projected grim intel. The guild's armada wasn't just approaching Earth, it was a full-scale invasion force, augmented by mercenary fleets from rival sectors, drawn by promises of plunder. Kai's mind raced. Earth's defenses were scrappy at best, a patchwork of orbital stations and outdated cruisers, nothing like Zerathia's advanced crystal tech. We need to mobilize now, he urged, stepping forward, only to realize the awkwardness of his position. Here he was, a scruffy Earth drifter in blood-stained cargo pants and a ripped shirt, addressing alien nobles who eyed him like an exotic pet that had wandered into a formal banquet. One advisor, a tall Zerathian with elongated ears and a perpetual scowl, cleared his throat pointedly. Your consort, Majesty, does the human speak for the throne? Lyra's lips twitched, a hint of amusement breaking through the tension, but she quelled it with regal poise. He speaks with my voice, she declared, her hand slipping into Kai's, the cool touch of her skin grounding him amid the rising drama. Yet, the moment turned awkwardly humorous when another courtier, a portly figure with glowing tattoos, bowed too deeply and accidentally activated a hidden floor panel, sending a holographic display of Zerathian cuisine recipes popping up mid-briefing. Apologies, Majesty, I meant to summon the war maps, not the feast planner. The room stifled chuckles, even as alarms blared from the holopads, heightening the absurdity, cosmic war looming, and they were staring at projections of spiced nebula fruits. Kai couldn't help but snort, the humor a brief valve for the pressure. Well, if we're fighting for Earth, at least pack some of those, they look better than replicated rations. Lyra shot him a playful glare, her curves shifting as she leaned in close, whispering, "Behave, my hero, or I'll make you the official court jester." The light moment diffused some tension, but drama surged back as she addressed her council. "Assemble the fleet. We owe Earth a debt. My savior's world will not fall." Orders flew, ships mobilizing across the Empire, but Kai felt the weight of curious stares. Whispers circulated. A human consort? How? Quaint. Awkward didn't begin to cover it. He was thrust into protocols he didn't understand, like the ritual bowing that involved touching ear tips, which he bungled spectacularly during a hasty alliance meeting, accidentally poking a diplomat's sensitive lobe and eliciting a yelp that echoed like a comedy holovid. As preparations intensified, the pair stole away to the royal quarters, a sprawling suite of floating crystal platforms overlooking Zerathia's aurora-lit skies. The drama of the day clung to them like static, but in privacy, it morphed into something more intimate and charged. Lyra shed her battle gear with deliberate grace, the fabric whispering down her pale skin, revealing the elegant swell of her breasts and the inviting dip of her waist. Kai's eyes traced her form, desire flaring despite the exhaustion, but awkwardness intruded when a servant drone buzzed in unannounced, delivering fresh attire and catching them mid-embrace. "Majesty, your regalia, oh." The drone's sensor's word in what sounded like mechanical embarrassment, hovering frozen as Kai scrambled for a sheet, muttering, "Timing, buddy, ever heard of knocking?" Lyra laughed, a melodic sound that cut through the humiliation, pulling him back to her with a teasing tug. Humans and their privacy quirks. On Zerathia, such interruptions are motivational. The humor lingered as they dressed, but drama heightened with each passing hour. Scout reports confirmed the Guild's fleet had breached Sol System's outer defenses, bombarding Mars colonies as a warning shot. Kai paced the suite, his human frustration boiling over. "They're toying with us. We need to jump now." Lyra nodded, her pointed ears twitching thoughtfully, but an awkward council summons interrupted, virtual holograms of elders materializing around them, debating the alliance's risks. One elder, projecting from a distant moon, eyed Kai suspiciously. "Majesty, binding our fate to these primitives. Their tech is laughable, steam engines and fossil fuels, I hear." Kai bristled, retorting with a grin, "Hey, we invented pizza and rock and roll. Beat that." The elder blinked, confused, while Lyra stifled a giggle, the humor diffusing the tension but underscoring the cultural chasm. Boarding the flagship, a colossal vessel named the Aurora's Crown, amplified the drama. The bridge hummed with activity, Zerathian officers in sleek uniforms glancing at Kai with a mix of awe and skepticism as he took a station beside Lyra's command throne. Her presence was magnetic, her gauzy royal robes hugging her curves in a way that distracted even the most disciplined crew, Kai included. As the fleet warped toward Earth, awkward situations piled on. During a strategy holo meeting, Kai misinterpreted a Zerathian gesture of respect as a high five, slapping an admiral's hand with Earth enthusiasm, only for the admiral to recoil in surprise. "Is this assault?" the admiral stammered, while the bridge crew chuckled nervously. Lyra intervened smoothly. "It's affection, Admiral, humans are tactile." Kai rubbed his neck, muttering, "Note to self, study alien etiquette," but the humor faded as they emerged from hyperspace into chaos. Earth's orbit was a war zone, guild ships swarming like locusts, laser fire crisscrossing the void, debris from shattered satellites tumbling end over end. Drama peaked as Lyra's fleet engaged, crystal beams lancing out to vaporize enemy cruisers in spectacular explosions. Kai piloted a fighter wing, his voice crackling over comms. "Form up on me, hit their flanks." The thrill mixed with terror. A guild destroyer targeted the Aurora's Crown, its massive cannons charging. Lyra's orders rang out, calm yet urgent, but an awkward glitch hit, the translation matrix faltered, turning her command "evade portside" into something hilariously garbled. "Dance with the porcupine?" Pilots hesitated, chuckling amid the peril, before correcting course just in time. In the heat of battle, Kai's fighter took a hit, spinning wildly toward Earth's atmosphere. Drama intensified, flames licking the hull as he wrestled controls, Lyra's voice frantic in his ear. "Kai, eject." But he stabilized, humor surfacing in his gritted response. "Not leaving the party early, I've got guild butt to kick." He looped back, unleashing torpedoes that crippled the destroyer, its hull fracturing in a dramatic cascade. Cheers erupted fleet-wide, but awkwardness struck post-skirmish when Earth forces hailed them. A gruff human admiral appeared on screen, eyeing Lyra's ethereal form and Kai's grinning face. Aliens helping us, and you're with her, son. You got some explaining to do. Docking on a battered Earth station for repairs heightened the cultural comedy. Zerathian troops, with their pointed ears and pale grace, mingled awkwardly with burly human marines, leading to humorous mishaps like a soldier offering a Zerathian a beer, only for the alien to sip it and sprout temporary glowing spots from the carbonation. Is this poison or party trick? The Zerathian asked, wide-eyed, while laughter bridged the gap. Lyra and Kai navigated diplomatic talks, her hand on his knee under the table stirring private desire amid public scrutiny. But drama loomed larger. Intel revealed guild remnants plotting a counterstrike, hidden in asteroid fields, forcing hasty alliances. Nights on the station brought intimate reprieves, Lyra's body a sanctuary. In a cramped quarters, she pressed against him, her curves yielding as hands explored. But awkwardness peaked when a maintenance bot interrupted, beeping indignantly. Occupied, Kai yelled, chuckling as Lyra pulled him closer, whispering, let them watch, jealous machines. Their passion ignited, bodies moving in rhythmic harmony, her moans muffled against his shoulder, heightening the forbidden thrill. As alliances solidified, drama built toward a final push. Guild leaders broadcast ultimatums, threatening planetary annihilation. Lyra, now embodying human resilience, rallied forces. We fight not as divided worlds, but as one. Kai stood proud, his awkward outsider status evolving into heroic legend. A humorous detour occurred during a joint training sim, Zerathians struggling with human slang, mishearing cover me as covet me, leading to flustered clarifications amid simulated fire. The counteroffensive launched with heart-pounding intensity, fleets clashing in a maelstrom of light. Kai led a boarding party onto the guild flagship, drama unfolding in close-quarters combat. Blades clashing, energy blasts scorching corridors. An awkward moment arose when he cornered a guild captain, who sneered, human filth, surrender? Kai quipped, only if you buy me dinner first, disarming him with a stun shot amid the chaos. Lyra's voice guided them via comms, her strategic brilliance turning the tide. Victory came dramatically, the guild fleet shattering, survivors fleeing into the black. Earth cheered, Zerathia hailed their queen. But in the quiet aftermath, Kai and Lyra shared a stolen kiss on the station's viewport, overlooking the blue marble of home. Awkward questions lingered how to blend their worlds, but humor softened it. Think your folks will like pointed ears at family dinners? He teased. She smiled, curves pressing close. As long as they like you. Years began to weave their tapestry, Lyra's reign blossoming with human influences, empathy councils, cultural exchanges. Awkward hybrids emerged, Zerathian rock concerts, Earth-style pizzas with crystal toppings. Drama simmered in political intrigues, but their bond anchored it all, laced with humor from cross-species faux pas, like Kai accidentally proposing marriage during a state dinner by offering a ring pop, mistaking it for tradition. Through it all, their love deepened. Passionate encounters in palace gardens or station hideaways. Her body an eternal enigma he explored with wonder. The galaxy watched, curious and inspired, as one man's rescue rippled into cosmic unity. In the tranquil afterglow of the guild's shattering defeat, with the stars outside the palace windows twinkling like distant applause, Kai and Lyra found themselves finally alone in the opulent royal chambers of Zerathia's heart. The room was a sanctuary of soft, glowing crystals that pulsed gently with the planet's rhythms, casting a warm, ethereal light over silken bedding and floating orbs that hummed lullabies from ancient Zerathian lore. The weight of the battles, the dramatic clashes, the awkward alliances, the humorous mishaps that had bonded worlds seemed to melt away as Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes shimmering with a depth of emotion that spoke volumes without words. Her white hair cascaded freely now, freed from the confines of her queenly headdress, and her elegant gown, woven from iridescent threads, hugged her form in a way that highlighted the graceful curves he had come to cherish. Kai felt a familiar pull, a magnetic draw that had grown stronger through every trial, every shared laugh and tense moment. She stepped closer, her pointed ears twitching slightly as if attuned to the subtle shift in the air between them. We've won so much today, she whispered, her voice a melodic caress that sent a shiver down his spine. Her hand reached out, fingers tracing the line of his jaw with a tenderness born of gratitude and desire. Kai pulled her into his arms, feeling the warmth of her body against his, the way her softness complemented his strength in perfect harmony. The galaxy's chaos had forged them, but in this private haven, it was their connection that reigned supreme. He kissed her then, slow and deep, savoring the sweetness of her lips, the way she responded with a gentle urgency that made his heart race. Their embraces had always been a refuge, but tonight, with the Empire secure and Earth safe, it felt like a celebration of everything they had built together. Lyra's hands wandered, slipping under his shirt to explore the familiar contours of his chest, her touch light yet insistent, igniting sparks that traveled through him like electricity. He mirrored her movements, his fingers gliding along the smooth expanse of her back, feeling the subtle arch as she pressed closer. The gown whispered as it fell away, revealing the pale glow of her skin, and Kai marveled at her beauty, the elegant lines of her figure, the inviting swell that drew him in. They moved to the bed, a vast expanse of plush fabrics that seemed to envelop them like a cloud, and there, in the soft light, they lost themselves in each other. His kisses trailed down her neck, eliciting soft sighs from her body responding with a natural grace that made every moment feel like a dance. She guided him with whispered encouragements, her legs entwining with his as they drew nearer, the intimacy building in waves of shared warmth and affection. The world outside ceased to exist as they connected on a deeper level, bodies moving in rhythmic unity, each touch a testament to the trust and passion that had blossomed from that fateful rescue. Kai felt the rise and fall of her breaths matching his own, her curves yielding yet holding him close, creating a symphony of sensations that built toward a shared pinnacle of bliss. It was more than physical. It was an affirmation of their bond, a blend of human ardor and Zerathian elegance that left them both breathless and fulfilled. Lyra's violet eyes locked onto his in those final moments, a silent promise echoing between them, her pointed ears flushing with the intensity of it all. As they lay entwined afterward, the crystals dimming to a gentle twilight hue, Lyra rested her head on his chest, her white hair fanning out like a veil. "You've given me everything," she murmured, her fingers tracing lazy patterns on his skin. Kai smiled, pulling her closer, feeling the steady beat of her heart against his. But even in this serene aftermath, the Empire's demands lingered at the edges of their minds. Whispers of reconstruction efforts, diplomatic envoys from Earth arriving soon, and the ongoing integration of human ideals into Zerathian society promised new challenges. Yet, for now, they reveled in the quiet, stealing kisses and sharing soft laughter about the day's earlier awkwardnesses, the high five gone wrong, the translation mishaps that had lightened dire meetings. The next morning brought a gentle awakening, the palace's automated systems humming to life with the rise of Zerathia's dual suns. Lyra stirred first, her body still warm from their night, and she leaned over to kiss him awake, her lips lingering in a way that hinted at more. But duty called. A council session awaited to discuss the guild's surrendered assets and how to repurpose them for interstellar aid. Kai dressed alongside her, watching as she donned a new robe that accentuated her form with flowing lines, and he couldn't resist pulling her back for one more embrace, his hands on her waist, feeling the curve of her hips. "We should make this a royal tradition," he teased, his voice low and playful. She laughed, a sound like chiming crystals, and responded with a kiss that deepened quickly, her body pressing against him in invitation. They indulged briefly, the morning light filtering through, turning their connection into a tender extension of the night's passion. Hands explored familiar paths, breaths quickening as they reaffirmed their love in the soft glow, bodies aligning in harmonious motion that left them both glowing with satisfaction. It was a stolen moment, intimate and loving, before the demands of queenship pulled her away. Kai joined her at the council, his role as consort now formalized, though not without its humorous edges, like when he accidentally triggered a holographic display during a serious debate, projecting a map upside down and earning chuckles from the assembly. As days turned to weeks, their private times became anchors amid the Empire's rebirth. Evenings in the palace gardens, under blooming vines that released fragrant mists, often led to secluded spots where they could unwind. Lyra would lead him to a hidden alcove, her gown slipping from her shoulders as she drew him close, their bodies coming together in a blend of tenderness and fervor. The rustle of leaves and distant hum of the city provided a backdrop to their shared ecstasy, her sighs mingling with his murmurs of affection, each encounter strengthening the thread that bound them across worlds. One such night, after a particularly grueling negotiation with Earth delegates, who still viewed their union with wide-eyed curiosity, Lyra surprised him with a private dinner in their chambers. Candles of glowing essence flickered, and she wore a sheer ensemble that highlighted her alluring silhouette, her pointed ears adorned with delicate jewels. The meal was forgotten as desire took hold. She pulled him onto the cushions, her touch bold and loving. guiding their intimacy with a queen's confidence. They moved together slowly at first, building to a crescendo of mutual delight, her curves arching under his hands, the connection leaving them entwined in peaceful repose. These moments weren't just escapes, they fueled their public roles. Kai's human perspective influenced policies, like establishing joint human Zerathian academies, while Lyra's grace smoothed over cultural awkwardnesses. Humor often laced their days, a Zerathian chef attempting Earth barbecue and setting off smoke alarms, or Kai teaching courtiers human dances that ended in tangled limbs and laughter. Yet, as months passed, subtle shifts emerged. Lyra's duties grew, pulling her into late-night strategy sessions, but she always returned to him, their reunions sparking with renewed passion. One evening, after quelling a minor border dispute, she found him in their suite, and without words, they came together, bodies expressing what words couldn't, the depth of their commitment. Her skin against his, the way she responded to his caresses, created a haven of warmth and unity. Time wove onward, their love a constant amid change. Kai adapted to palace life, his drifter ways evolving into diplomatic savvy, though not without slips like mispronouncing a Zerathian title during a gala, turning esteemed ally into esteemed alley cat, drawing amused gasps. Lyra's laughter in those moments only deepened their bond, leading to private celebrations where intimacy reigned. In quieter times, they dreamed of the future, perhaps children blending their heritages, pointed ears with human resilience. Their nights remained filled with affectionate explorations, bodies knowing each other intimately, each touch a reminder of the rescue that started it all. As years approached the decade mark, Lyra's reign flourished, infused with humanity's spirit. Their passion endured, a flame that burned bright in crystal halls, inspiring tales across the stars of the Queen and her Earth hero whose love conquered galaxies. As the years wove their intricate patterns across the stars, approaching that pivotal decade mark with a quiet inevitability, Lyra's reign over Zerathia blossomed into something extraordinary, a harmonious fusion of her people's ancient crystal wisdom and the unyielding spirit of humanity that Kai had so generously shared. The empire thrived under her guidance, trade routes flourished with Earth. Cultural festivals blended rock anthems with ethereal Zerathian symphonies, and policies rooted in compassion quelled old rivalries, turning former enemies into allies. Kai, once the wandering drifter, had become an integral thread in this tapestry, his role as consort evolving into that of a beloved advisor and symbol of interworld unity. Their days were filled with the hum of progress, mornings in strategy chambers debating aid to distant colonies, afternoons strolling through gardens where hybrid flowers bloomed in impossible colors, and evenings where their passion reignited like a perpetual flame. Bodies coming together in the privacy of their chambers with a familiarity that only deepened the intimacy. One such evening, as the dual suns dipped below the horizon, painting the crystal spires in hues of amber and violet, Lyra led Kai to their balcony overlooking the capital. Her white hair caught the fading light, shimmering like a cascade of liquid starlight, and her pointed ears perked slightly at the distant cheers from a festival below, humans and Zerathians mingling in celebration of the guild's final dissolution. She wore a flowing robe that accentuated her graceful curves, the fabric whispering against her pale skin as she leaned against the railing. Kai joined her, his arms slipping around her waist, feeling the familiar warmth that had anchored him through countless storms. 10 years, he mused, his voice soft with reflection. Feels like yesterday I was blasting that cage open in the market. Now look at us queens, empires, the whole galaxy owing us a beer. Lyra turned to him, her violet eyes sparkling with affection, and pressed a kiss to his cheek, her lips lingering in a way that stirred memories of their more private moments. And you've been my constant, Kai, without your lessons in humanity's heart, the way you taught me that strength lies in kindness, not just power. Zerathia would still be fractured. She placed a hand on his chest, over his heart, and he covered it with his own, the simple gesture a bridge between their worlds. They stood there in comfortable silence, the night air carrying scents of blooming night vines and the faint hum of the city's energy fields, but beneath her serene exterior, Kai sensed a subtle shift, something unspoken in the way her fingers trembled ever so slightly against him. He chalked it up to the weight of rule, the endless decisions that came with a throne, and pulled her closer, his hands tracing the elegant dip of her back as they shared a deeper kiss, one that promised more once they retreated indoors. That night, as they moved to their bedchamber, the atmosphere thickened with the familiar pull of desire. Lyra shed her robe with deliberate slowness, revealing the lithe, curvaceous form that never failed to captivate him, her pale skin glowing faintly under the room's soft illumination, her pointed ears framing a face alive with emotion. Kai followed suit, his touches reverent as he explored her, their bodies aligning in a rhythm honed by years of love. She responded with equal fervor, her sighs mingling with his breaths, the connection building to a crescendo of shared ecstasy that left them entwined, hearts pounding in unison. Afterward, as they lay in the afterglow, her head on his shoulder, white hair splayed across his chest, Kai whispered endearments, his fingers idly stroking her arm. "Whatever comes next, we've got this, you and me against the stars." Lyra lifted her head, her violet eyes searching his in the dim light, and for a moment, vulnerability flickered across her features, a rare crack in her queenly composure. "Kai, there's something I need to tell you, something that's been building for a while now." Her voice was steady, but the words carried a weight that made his pulse quicken, curiosity stirring amid the post-intimacy haze. He propped himself up on an elbow, concern etching his brow. "What is it? You know you can tell me anything." She sat up slowly, pulling a sheet around her curves, her pointed ears drooping slightly as if bearing an unseen burden. The room felt suddenly charged, the crystal walls seeming to hold their breath. "I've been feeling changes," she began, her hand drifting to her abdomen in a gesture that sent a jolt through him. "At first, I thought it was the stress of the reforms, the alliances, but our healers confirmed it weeks ago. Kai, I'm carrying our child." The revelation hung in the air, a powerful twist that caught him utterly off guard, his mind reeling as surprise washed over him like a sudden hyperspace jump. A child? After all these years of their union, blending human and Zerathian essences in ways no one had fully anticipated. The Galaxies' medics had whispered about incompatibilities, subtle barriers between species that made such miracles rare, if not impossible. Yet here it was, defying the odds, a living testament to their love's resilience. Kai's eyes widened, emotions surging, joy, fear, wonder all colliding in a storm that left him speechless for a heartbeat. He reached out, his hand covering hers on her belly, feeling a faint warmth that now carried profound meaning. "A child, our child," he echoed, his voice thick with awe, but as the initial shock settled, questions flooded in, heightening the twist's impact. How had it happened now, after a decade? What would this mean for Zerathia, for Earth, for them? Lyra's expression softened, but there was more, a deeper layer to her confession that she unveiled with careful words. "It's not just any child, Kai, the scans show anomalies. Powers manifesting even in the womb, crystal resonances stronger than any Zerathian air, infused with something. Human, your indomitable will, perhaps. The healers say this little one could bridge worlds in ways we never imagined. Maybe even wield energies that could heal fractured planets or repel threats we haven't yet faced." The surprise deepened, twisting into something monumental. Kai sat up fully, pulling her into his arms, his mind racing through the implications. This wasn't just parenthood, it was a cosmic shift. A child who might embody the ultimate HFY ethos, humanity's fuck yeah spirit amplified through alien heritage, potentially altering the balance of power across the stars. But with great power came shadows, whispers of envy from rival empires, fears of the unknown. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he asked gently, no accusation, just the need to understand. Lyra leaned into him, her body soft and warm against his, curves pressing close in reassurance. "I wanted to be sure, and I was afraid of how it might change us, pull us into new dangers. But feeling our child stir, it's like carrying a piece of your courage inside me. It makes me stronger." They talked through the night, the twist unfolding layer by layer, surprise giving way to planning. Kai's human optimism shone through, envisioning a future where their offspring led a united galaxy, while Lyra's wisdom tempered it with caution. As dawn crept in, they made love again, slower this time, every touch infused with the new reality, their intimacy now a celebration of creation, her body a vessel of miracles. His hands roamed her curves with added reverence, feeling the subtle changes, the life burgeoning within. It was a night of profound connection, the powerful revelation binding them tighter than ever. Word spread cautiously at first, shared only with trusted advisors, but the twist rippled outward, surprising the Empire. Courtiers buzzed with awe, a hybrid air. Earth envoys arrived, wide-eyed at the news, offering congratulations laced with scientific curiosity. Kai navigated the whirlwind, his drifter instincts kicking in to protect his growing family, while Lyra's reign adapted, incorporating prenatal rituals that blended human lullabies with Zerathian crystal harmonies. Yet, the surprise held undercurrents of challenge. Scans revealed the child's energies could attract ancient cosmic entities, dormant threats stirred by the unique blend of essences. One evening, as they walked the palace halls, Lyra paused, her hand on her slightly rounding belly, violet eyes distant. There's more to this twist, Kai. The healers uncovered records, ancient prophecies speaking of a star-forged child born of crossed worlds, destined to either unite or unravel the galaxy. The words hit like another surprise, powerful and unforeseen, twisting their joy with destiny's edge. Kai pulled her close, his resolve unwavering. Whatever comes, we'll face it together. Humanity doesn't back down from fate, we rewrite it. The months unfolded with this new layer, the child's presence a constant surprise, manifesting in small ways. Crystals glowing brighter near Lyra, dreams shared between parents and unborn, their intimacy evolved. Nights filled with tender explorations. Kai's touches gentle on her changing form, eliciting sighs of contentment as they connected deeply. It was a time of growth, literal and metaphorical, the twist propelling their story into uncharted realms. As the pregnancy progressed, alliances strengthened, drawn by the heir's potential. Earth sent specialists, Zerathia hosted summits, but hidden dangers lurked, spies from forgotten sects seeking to claim the child. Kai thwarted an infiltration attempt, his human ingenuity surprising even Lyra, leading to a night of passionate gratitude, bodies entwining in fervent affirmation. The twist's power lay in its duality, a beacon of hope, yet a harbinger of trials. Kai and Lyra embraced it, their love the core that would guide them. Surprises continued, the child's first detectable thoughts, a telepathic whisper of love that brought tears to their eyes. In quiet moments, they marveled, hands on her belly, feeling kicks that echoed across species. Years edged closer to completion, but this revelation redefined everything, a powerful pivot that surprised not just them, but the stars themselves. Their tale, once of rescue and rule, now wove in legacy, humanity's indomitable essence birthing something transcendent. As the child's first telepathic whispers of love lingered in their minds like a gentle echo from the stars, Kai and Lyra found themselves navigating a new constellation of emotions and challenges, the revelation redefining not just their future, but the very fabric of their daily lives. The palace, once a symbol of unyielding rule, now buzzed with a heightened sense of purpose and precaution, as healers and advisors swarmed with scans and safeguards, ensuring the hybrid heir's safety amid prophecies that spoke of unity or unraveling. Lyra's belly swelled gradually, a subtle curve beneath her flowing robes that drew reverent glances from courtiers, while Kai walked beside her with a protective hand often resting there, feeling the occasional kick that seemed to pulse with an energy all its own. Yet, this beacon of hope carried shadows. Reports trickled in of ancient cosmic entities stirring in distant nebulae, drawn like moths to the flame of the child's burgeoning powers. Drama simmered beneath the surface, whispers of potential threats heightening the air of anticipation, as if the galaxy itself held its breath. One crisp morning in the palace's sunlit atrium, where crystal vines climbed toward the domed ceiling in elegant spirals, Lyra experienced her first awkward bout of pregnancy whims, cravings that blended Zerathian delicacies with human oddities. She turned to Kai with a sheepish smile, her pointed ears flushing a delicate pink. "I need pickles and crystal nectar together." Kai blinked, then burst into laughter, the sound echoing off the walls like a release valve for the mounting tension. "Pickles? From Earth? In nectar that tastes like sweetened lightning? Babe, that's either genius or a biohazard." He arranged for a shipment via their interstellar couriers, but when the package arrived during a high-level diplomatic meeting with Earth envoys, drama escalated comically. A servant drone, programmed for efficiency but not discretion, buzzed into the chamber mid-discussion, depositing a jar of briny pickles directly onto the negotiation table with a cheerful chime. "Majesty's craving delivery." The envoys stared, one choking on his coffee, while a Zerathian elder wrinkled his nose. "Is this a human ritual for sealing packs?" Lyra covered her face, giggling despite the embarrassment, as Kai quipped, "Only if you want the pact to be extra tangy." The humor broke the ice, turning a potentially stiff alliance talk into a lively exchange, but it underscored the awkward cultural mashups that now define their lives. As Lyra's pregnancy advanced, the drama intensified with each scan revealing the child's escalating abilities, small telekinetic nudges that made nearby crystals hum or float unexpectedly, sending servants scrambling in panic. during a state banquet honoring the human Zerathian accord. One such incident turned awkward into outright farce. Lyra, radiant in a gown that gracefully accommodated her growing form, her curves enhanced by the subtle glow of impending motherhood, was midway through a toast when the child spoke again, this time manifesting as a gentle force that lifted the entire dessert table into the air. Plates of hybrid confections, earth chocolate fused with Zerathian glowberries, hovered precariously, drawing gasps from the crowd. Kai leaped to his feet, steadying a wobbling platter with one hand while whispering urgently to Lyra's belly. "Kiddo, timing, we're trying to impress here, not start a food fight." The table settled gently, but not before a berry plopped onto an ambassador's head, staining his uniform in luminescent purple. Laughter rippled through the hall, Lyra joining in with a hand over her mouth, her violet eyes twinkling. Our heir is already a diplomat, breaking barriers with berries. The humor lightened the drama, but it highlighted the unpredictable power brewing within, prompting urgent council sessions on containment fields and prophetic interpretations. The threats weren't just internal. Scouts reported shadowy vessels probing Zerathia's borders, remnants of forgotten sects lured by the child's aura, their intentions veiled in ancient grudges. Drama peaked during a routine orbital patrol when one such intruder ship breached the defenses, cloaked in nebula mist, aiming a scanning beam directly at the palace. Alarms blared through the corridors, sending guards into frenzy as Kai and Lyra rushed to the command center, her hand protectively over her belly. There after the child, she breathed, her voice steady but laced with fear, her pointed ears alert to the incoming data streams. Kai manned a console, his human grit shining through as he coordinated countermeasures, but awkwardness struck when the intruder's hail came through, a holographic figure of a hooded alien elder, speaking in archaic tongues that the translator mangled hilariously. "We seek the star-forged spawn, for a playdate with destiny?" Kai snorted despite the tension. "Playdate? Buddy, this kid's not even born yet. Try scheduling after nap time." Lyra shot him a look, but the quip bought precious seconds, allowing the fleet to encircle the intruder. A brief skirmish ensued, laser fire dancing across the void in a dramatic light show, the enemy vessel retreating after a glancing hit that sparked like fireworks. In the aftermath, Lyra leaned against Kai, her curves pressing close in relief, whispering, "Your humor saves us more than blasters sometimes." Yet, the incidents piled on, heightening the drama to near-constant vigilance. Lyra's mobility waned as the pregnancy progressed, leading to awkward situations where royal protocols clashed with her needs, like the time she insisted on attending a frontier colony inspection, only for morning sickness to hit mid-teleport. They materialized on the colony's platform, her face paling, and she dashed to a nearby bush, leaving Kai to stall the welcoming committee with improvised small talk. "So, weather's nice here, less gravity, more floating feelings, right?" The colonists nodded politely, but one bold young Zerathian quipped, "Is the queen communing with nature?" Kai grinned, "Yeah, royal style, it's a human tradition keeps us grounded." Lyra returned, composed but flushed, and the group dissolved into chuckles, the humor forging bonds amid the embarrassment. But beneath it, drama loomed. The child's energies were amplifying, causing planetary quakes in sync with kicks, prompting evacuations and frantic engineering fixes. In private, their intimacy adapted to the changes, nights filled with tender moments where Kai massaged her back, his hands gentle on her evolving form, leading to soft embraces that celebrated their growing family. One evening, after quelling a minor tremor blamed on the heir's enthusiasm, Lyra pulled him close, her body warm and inviting despite the swell, and they shared a passionate connection. Movements careful yet fervent, her sighs a melody of love and anticipation. But even here, awkward humor intruded when a floating orb, disturbed by the child's telekinesis, bobbed into the room mid-moment, its light flickering like an unintended spotlight. "Privacy mode, orb," Kai yelped, swatting it away as Lyra laughed breathlessly. "Our little one is already directing the show." The drama reached a fever pitch as birth approached, prophecies unfolding with eerie precision, visions in crystal orbs showing the child as a unifier, but warning of a shadow convergence where old enemies might strike. Awkward alliances formed hastily. Earth shamans, or as Kai called them, hippie scientists, arrived with holistic remedies, clashing comically with Zerathian healers. During a joint ritual, a human mystic chanted while waving incense, only for it to react with crystal vapors, creating a harmless but colorful smoke cloud that had everyone coughing and waving arms. Is this protection or a party fog machine? Kai joked, fanning Lyra, who giggled through teary eyes. The humor bonded the groups, but the underlying tension built. Scouts confirmed sect fleets massing, drawn inexorably to the child's impending arrival. In a dramatic council under stormlit skies, Lyra, her curvaceous form commanding even in repose, declared a preemptive strike. We protect our future, not just for Zerathia, but for all worlds. Kai stood by her, coordinating human tactics that surprised the elders with their boldness. The operation launched amid thunder, fleets clashing in a vortex of energy beams and debris. Kai piloted a command shuttle, dodging fire with Lyra's voice in his ear, her contractions beginning mid-battle, awkward timing that heightened the stakes. "Breathe, love, I've got this," he shouted, unleashing a volley that shattered an enemy cruiser. Humor surfaced in his gritted quip over comms. "Kids got dramatic entrance genes, must be from your side." The sect forces crumbled, retreating into the black, but not before a stray shot grazed their ship, sending alarms blaring. Back on Zerathia, drama culminated in the birthing chamber, healers surrounding Lyra as she labored. Kai holding her hand through waves of pain and power surges that lit the room like auroras. Awkward moments arose when the child's telepathy broadcasted baby thoughts fleet-wide, hungry, warm, prompting confused reports from pilots. "Majesty, is the air?" ordering snacks. Laughter mixed with tears as the child emerged. A perfect blend, pale skin with a human flush, tiny pointed ears, and eyes that shifted from violet to Kai's hazel. The galaxy sighed in relief, but the air's first cry resonated with energy. Quelling distant storms, a humorous hello that short-circuited nearby drones in a spark shower, years flowed from there. The child named Alara, growing into a prodigy, her powers guided by parents' love. Drama persisted in minor intrigues. Awkward in cross-cultural parenting, like Alara's first telekinetic tantrum levitating the throne during a summit, leading Kai to jest. Time out in 0G, but their family thrived. Humanity's essence shining through, turning trials into triumphs. As the years flowed onward from Alara's dramatic arrival, weaving triumphs and trials into the ever-expanding tapestry of their lives, Kai and Lyra watched their daughter blossom into a force of nature that embodied the best of both worlds. Alara grew with a curiosity that mirrored her father's wandering spirit and a grace inherited from her mother's royal lineage, her tiny pointed ears twitching with every new discovery, her eyes shifting hues depending on her mood, violet like Lyra's when contemplative, hazel like Kai's when mischief brewed. The palace halls, once echoing with the formalities of empire, now rang with her laughter as she toddled through them, her small hands sparking faint crystal glows that lit up the corridors like wandering fireflies. Drama lingered in the background, of course, minor border skirmishes with lingering sect holdouts, diplomatic tangles where Alara's accidental telepathic broadcasts turned tense negotiations into unintended heart-to-hearts, revealing hidden motives with childlike innocence. But these challenges only strengthened the family bond, humanity's resilient essence shining through in every resolution, turning potential conflicts into opportunities for deeper unity across the stars. Kai often found himself in the role of the grounded parent, teaching Alara the simple joys of Earth traditions amid the grandeur of Zerathia. One afternoon in the palace gardens, where vines bloomed in response to emotions, he sat with her on a soft, mossy knoll, demonstrating how to skip stones across a reflective pond, though here, the stones were polished crystals that hummed tunes upon impact. "See, kiddo, it's all about the flick of the wrist," he said, his voice warm with that familiar drifter charm, as Alara giggled and tried, her telekinesis sending a crystal soaring in a perfect arc before it plopped with a melodic splash. Lyra watched from a nearby archway, her curvaceous form draped in a light gown that caught the breeze, accentuating the elegant lines time had only refined. She joined them, her white hair flowing like a banner of peace, and scooped Alara into her arms, planting a kiss on her forehead. "Your father's right, human ingenuity makes even the simplest things magical." The moment was pure, a quiet counterpoint to the galaxy's vast complexities, where love bridged the gaps between species and stars. As Alara matured, her prodigious talents unfolded like petals under dual suns, guided by her parents' unwavering love. She mastered crystal resonances by age 5, using them to heal minor ailments in the court, her small hands glowing with a light that blended Zerathian energy and human empathy. Drama arose when her powers drew envious eyes from afar, emissaries from neutral worlds arriving with veiled offers to study her, sparking tense standoffs that Lyra handled with queenly diplomacy, while Kai added his human flair, diffusing one such encounter with a quip. "Study her. She's not a lab rat, she's the kid who beat me at chess last week. Care for a game?" The humor often turned potential adversaries into allies, but it was Alara's innate kindness that sealed the deals, her telepathy fostering genuine connections that echoed the lessons Kai had first imparted to Lyra all those years ago. Their family life deepened with shared adventures, blending the intimacy of their early days with the responsibilities of legacy. Evenings often found them in the royal suite, where soft lights mimicked Earth's sunsets, and Lyra would lean against Kai, her body warm and inviting, as Alara recounted her day's explorations. These moments inevitably led to stolen tenderness between the parents. Once Alara was tucked in with stories of distant worlds, Lyra's touch remained as electrifying as ever, her curves pressing close in embraces that celebrated their enduring passion, bodies moving in familiar harmony under the crystal canopy. Kai's hands would trace her form with reverence, eliciting soft sighs that spoke of a love unbroken by time or trials, their connection a quiet affirmation amid the Empire's hum. Yet, as the decade mark passed, the 10 years since Lyra's return as queen, fulfilling the circle begun in that chaotic market, a sense of completion settled over them. The guild's shadows had long faded. Earth and Zerathia stood as pillars of a galactic alliance, and Alara's presence promised a future where humanity's indomitable spirit would guide the stars. Drama gave way to harmony, awkward cross-cultural moments evolving into cherished traditions, like the annual Fusion Festival, where Zerathians attempted human barbecues with crystalline grills, often resulting in humorous flares but unbreakable bonds. Kai, reflecting on it all during a quiet walk with Lyra along a Nebula View balcony, squeezed her hand. "Who'd have thought a guy like me, saving a girl in a cage, would end up here? King consort, dad to a super kid, husband to the Galaxy's best queen." Lyra smiled, her violet eyes reflecting the swirling colors outside, her pointed ears perking at his words. "Not just saved me, you awakened something greater. Humanity's fire, its fuck yeah as you call it, lit the way for us all." They shared a kiss then, deep and lingering, her body molding to his in a way that stirred memories of their first stolen moments amid danger. As they pulled apart, Alara bounded onto the balcony, her energy pulling floating orbs in her wake. "Mom, Dad, look what I can do." She concentrated, and a holographic display bloomed, projecting a map of uncharted sectors, her voice excited. "We could explore together, help more worlds like you helped each other." In that instant, the family stood united, the past's echoes blending with the promise of tomorrow. Kai ruffled Alara's hair, Lyra's arm around his waist, and they gazed outward, the stars a canvas of endless possibility. The rescue that started it all had rippled into a legacy of love, strength, and unity, proving that one act of human defiance could reshape the cosmos, as the nebula swirled in vibrant hues, symbolizing the vibrant life they'd built. Kai whispered to Lyra, "Ready for the next adventure?" She nodded, her curves shifting as she leaned in, and together, with Alara between them, they stepped forward into the light, a perfect ending, yet the beginning of so much more. As the family embraced the boundless light of new horizons, their story became a legend whispered across the galaxy, a testament to how one act of courage could ignite eternal bonds and reshape destinies. In my opinion, this HFY tale beautifully captures humanity's unbreakable spirit, blending romance, adventure, and hope in a way that inspires us all. What do you think the next adventure for Kai, Lyra, and Alara might be? Thank you for watching and joining this cosmic journey. Your likes, subs, comments, and shares are the biggest motivation for us to create even more captivating stories.